The following program is paid for by the Charlie Butler team.
Good Sunday morning, Tri-State. This is the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show. And as every Sunday, I'm Charlie Butler. Don't know who all these other people around here are, but, one of these days, it'll be for real. I'll remember any of you guys.
Oh, yes, you will.
We got two Cub fans in here today. Our producer, Bobby Gates, and our co-host, Candace DeArmond. Mm-hmm. You'll be a has-been like Bobby one of these days. Bobby was Bobby G at one time, And the girls would come in here and Bobby would go out of the room and they'd go, "That's Bobby G." I don't know who that is.
I don't think anybody says that's Candace D whenever I walk into a room, so I might already be a has-been.
That story gets more and more grandiose, I think, every time. I don't remember any of this ever happening.
No, I'm serious. We did. There was, and I better not mention her name. But
no names on the show.
Because I know Candace knows her because we worked together with her. She was here, and you left the room. You had to get something. I don't remember what it was. And she leans over to me. She says, and I was not here back then. We were listening to your. She goes, "That's Bobby G." I said, "Well, that's the producer, Bobby. Yeah." She goes, "No, you don't understand. That's Bobby G." I go, "Okay, what's the difference?"
Yeah.
And then she told me that you were a long-haired, dopey-addict disc jockey.
All right, never long-haired, but,
You didn't have your hair long?
Never had my hair long, no.
No, when you, okay.
Nope. But maybe the others, but not long hair.
Bobby,
All right, enough about me.
But I guess you came after the crazy days of real estate, though. The 80s.
Yeah, I started in 96.
Yeah, the 80s were, I was in radio. That was nuts.
Wait a minute, real estate or radio?
Radio.
You said real estate.
Well, yeah.
Bobby wasn't worried about real estate in the 80s.
They were both back.
They
were both crazy in the 80s.
And you've heard guys that worked that time talk. Not that I ever personally saw it, but you walk in and see cocaine in the control room.
I've heard stories. It was never that crazy for me.
Yeah, no, that you just missed it.
Doggone it. Shucks.
The WKRP one about turkeys.
Oh, yeah.
Is a true story.
I swear I thought turkeys could fly, right?
God is my witness. I thought turkeys could fly. And they're going on they're splattering on the concrete,
That is too
I know
funny.
you've told me about it.
Huntsville, Alabama, I believe. It was Alabama. I think it's Huntsville. But anyway, enough important stuff. To my left, as he always is my co-host. One of my co-hosts. I'm ignoring the other one. Is David Crow, for the regional manager for Churchill Mortgage. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Charlie. Good morning, everybody. Happy New Year. Happy 2025. This is our first show of a whole new year. So hoping great things to come in 2025. Hoping everybody has great things to come.
Our other co-host has some news.
I sold a house yesterday.
That's part of it.
And I sold 4 more last week.
That was part of it, too.
Yeah. I don't know.
But there's one other. She has something on her left hand now.
Oh, that news. Yeah. I do. Yeah.
And so, first, I guess I should introduce her, is Candace DeArmond. And I want to wish you and David the best of luck, too.
Shut up. Gosh.
No, but Candace, who has a very nice boyfriend, and she got engaged last week, I guess.
I did not know.
Yep.
Very recently, yeah. Mm-hmm. So congratulations.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.
And
Josh, I'm a private person, so none of this stuff is on social media or anything. So I'm a little turning red right now with it being on the radio.
So Josh does not know what he's getting in for, but whatever. No, he's So anyway, no, seriously, Candace DeArmond, congratulations, Candace.
Well, thank you, Charlie.
And Candace is Candace is one of my all-time favorite people, to be quite honest. And
he tells stories.
And she is a tremendous realtor. She takes great care of her clients, and wish we could find 10 or 15 more like her. So
I don't know if this world could handle 10 or 15 more of me.
I'm talking about just the real estate side, okay, not the rest of you.
It'd be a lot.
But all right, David, it's time for you to try to explain this craziness.
Oh.
What am I going to talk about, Candace?
The rates.
The rates.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Look at you all. It's coming to me, explain this craziness.
Well, okay. You know, people ask, and I'll just say what we hear all the time. Well, rates are going down. You know, I saw on TV the Fed, is cut twice.
Three times.
That's
times.
right, 3 times.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the rates are going down. No, they're going up. And people look at you like, he didn't know what he's talking about.
Exactly.
And but as if those regular listeners know, as David and I have talked about, the 10-year bond, which really affects mortgage rates a lot, is very high right now.
It's over 4.5. That's where we're at. And historically, Charlie's correct. Historically, pre-COVID, wherever the 10-year Treasury was floating and hitting at, you typically would see your 30-year mortgage rate somewhere around that number. And that's not the case now. No, it's not. But what we were seeing, so the craziness, that is the thing. Folks, if you're driving down the road, let's talk for a moment. First thing, let's start with positives, okay? So in this crazy environment we've all been in for the last few years, the one thing that has been a constant, home appreciation has been occurring year after year. Mm-hmm. So I'm telling you, those people who have bought, God love them, those who bought in 2020, 2021, where their homes, they got in before prices really shot up. Prices have gone up. So home appreciation is really at an all-time high nationwide. Okay, so 2024 ended nationally somewhere around 4% appreciation. So we're not talking about prices went down. We're talking about nationally 4%. Pockets you're seeing, oh my God, anywhere from 10 to 15% appreciation. I'm talking about pockets around the nation. Here locally, we've seen prices going up. We know that values have gone up. I will say we're broadcasting here at the first of 2025. Seasonally, is that right? Yeah, seasonally adjusted. Yes. This time of the year, you kind of see home prices. So where I'm going with this, you see home prices kind of maybe people willing to take a little less. You may see a little dip in the December, January month. So it's a great time if you're a buyer to get out there and buy. So let's also talk about the good news. The good news is rates have basically just stabilized. Okay, the new norm is people recognizing that they're probably going to be in the 6s. Excuse me. I know some lenders are 7. I know if you Google right now and look at Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac on a national level, they'll talk about interest rates are right just over 7%. So the bad news, if you really know the truth, nationally, we're actually higher right now than a year-over-year number for 30-year mortgage interest rates. That's just the facts and the stats. Mm-hmm. So Charlie was correct earlier. We've had Federal Reserve has cut 3 times, and ever since September 19th, 2024, we have consistently watched rates tick upward. So what does that mean for 2025?
Well, one thing at this point, David, as we talk about Buffett on here, but there are a lot of Buffett followers in the hedge funds and things like that. There are hedge funds actually just mirror what he does.
Oh, absolutely.
And so he now owns more treasuries than the Federal Reserve.
That's exactly the case.
I'd read the other day, I didn't have a number, $320 billion in cash and treasuries.
That's B with a B, with not an M. B.
Yeah. With a B.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the only reason that came out was because he bought 3 companies that, of course, if you own over 10%,
you have to disclose.
Yeah, and it didn't even hit the $320 billion. Didn't touch it. He bought 30% Occidental Petroleum and never touched that money. and I forget, and he bought 20-some% of Sirius XM.
So, Charlie, what you're actually describing, whether it's Buffett, whether it's China, whether it's other factors, what's happening is even though the Federal Reserve has cut the federal funds rate, we have been met with headwinds for the last 3 to 4 months, which has unfortunately kept long-term mortgage interest rates up instead of continuing to decline. Because at the end of July, all the way through the month of August and the first part of September, we were starting to see that decline in anticipation the Federal Reserve would cut on September 18th, to which they did. But the additional headwinds and even with the additional cuts have caused 30-year mortgage rates nationally to stay up. Now, the good news is, and it's coupled with the good and bad, and with the folks that I utilize, we're probably looking at less cuts from the Federal Reserve in 2025 than what they were discussing 2 months ago that would occur in 2025. But we're also seeing that just the Federal Reserve cuts does not translate to up or down on 30-year mortgage rates. So what we're anticipating, hoping, is some of these headwinds cool. We're going to have an administration change on January 20th. And we're hoping that as we progress into 2025 and we're looking at unemployment rates, there's going to be additional, I don't know, call them tailwinds instead of headwinds, that's going to allow interest rates to continue to move down. What I and you as real estate realtors, lenders, the fact of the matter is we haven't seen this huge surge downward. We probably won't experience a huge surge downward in the first 6 months of 2025. So, folks, it is what it is. If you like the home well enough to own it, you're going to have to buy it. And this talk of, I'm going to wait for rates to go down, I'm going to wait for rates to go down. If you're waiting for rates to go down, unless you're living at the in-laws' house, you're paying rent, and ain't no rent going down for the last 12 months and into the foreseeable future.
And as we say often here, rent is 100% interest.
Amen. It's 100% interest. So the fact of the matter is, start building that equity. If you've sat on the sidelines for the last year, 2 years, not buying, waiting for things to quote-unquote get better, you've missed out on home appreciation, equity building, wealth building through equity in real estate. And so the thing, it basically, when I'm talking to clients, and I loved when you opened, Charlie, they called and they said, well, I saw in the news rates were going down.
Yeah, that's what everybody thinks.
Yep.
And psychologically, I know it's psychologically, but normally rates do go down, even though the Fed is not directly connected to that. They normally go down.
We saw that. I'll tell you, I don't know the ins and outs. And just as you talked about Warren Buffett, I can't help. I mean, folks, I'm Churchill Mortgage. We have very competitive rates. We lend in 49 states across the nation. Dave Ramsey does tell everybody to call our good friends at Churchill Mortgage. We stay competitive. I don't know the full ins and outs, but we all see, if we're watching football and sports, we see Rocket Mortgage, we see Quicken Loans. Well, Rocket Mortgage, they bet on a come, if you will, when it talking about gambling. Those rates didn't go down. And I guess they spent a fortune on advertising. I don't have the number right now, but I think I'm pretty close. Their third quarter report, this was third quarter, they lost $412 million as a mortgage company. Wow. Now, how do you lose $412 million as a mortgage company and, and not feel that somewhere? Yeah. So I caution people all the time when they're looking at advertisements online, they're even watching on TV, pause it. Look at the small print they're forced to print at the very bottom. When you're talking about how much you had to pay in points to get that rate, and the fact of the matter was, Rocket was betting on those rates coming down, and they didn't happen. And they had made a huge investment in marketing advertisement to capture the refinance market that some did refinance, especially if they had a huge interest rate.
Right.
But the numbers did not develop like they thought they were going to post September 18th. But yeah, 400, and that's, people are like, should you be talking about that? Google it. It's out there. They had to report it.
Yeah.
So,
So Candace, David's talking about rates. What do you see? How much pushback do you see from your clients on rates?
I have seen a little bit, but we did get a little bit of relief on rates.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
But I have seen some people that have said, "Oh, my payment's too high." I just had some buyers that I didn't have the buyers; I had the sellers, but they had started looking in October last year. They decided they were going to put things on hold and put back a little bit more money, wait for interest rates to go down, and look in a higher price range. And they really liked the listing that I had. Once they had the payment calculated up, it made them nervous. Now, their agent is still talking to them about, that they can refinance or they can do a buy down. There are different options. But so I've seen it go that way, and then I've seen it go the other way where people are saying, "I'll refinance. I love the house and I want the house." Right. So I've seen it go both ways.
So, and you've had, a good end of the year, very good fourth quarter, going on into the first of the year. So, there obviously is people that are, as you said, are buying, and it's and they'll refinance later on.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And most of those people, some are cash buyers, but most of the people that have put in offers on my listings or that I have had, they are financing.
Right.
So it's not completely scaring people off.
You're seeing, because most of them are probably coming out of rental situations.
Right.
And I know when I get the phone call, they're very upset of where their rent has gone. And the reality of it is, when I'm talking about rates are still up, you're also correct. If we go back and look at March and April of 2024 and where we were as a nation, and then really starting at the end of April, 1st of May, the progression kind of ticking down and so forth. It's just when we hit that September mark, we thought they were going to continue down, and we've seen this little pushback. The fact of the matter is, at the end of 2024, our rates are lower than the beginning of 2024.
Right. Yeah, they absolutely
are. People did see some relief. I've had several people calling, and folks, if you're out there and you're thinking of refinancing, I hope you give me a call. But if you call someone, what's crazy is when we look at the 10-year Treasury and we look at mortgage-backed securities, I had so many purchases in 2022, and they're still kind of waiting because we want to make sure it's really beneficial. And I think that, they're forwarding the mortgage payments. I think it's going to be beneficial in 2025 financially. But what's crazy is the lowest our rates were, the best position from a mortgage-backed securities nationwide actually occurred in February of 2023. And I was just having this conversation with a homeowner this past week, and I said, who would have thought in February 2023 that was actually going to be our best point in time of where rates are?
Yeah.
And thinking it was all going to continue to improve and so forth. So the reality is people have to have homes. And Charlie, I will say this, finally we're starting to see nationwide people with interest rates in the 2s and 3s are sacrificing that because they've stayed in their current housing situation too long. They need, whether it's marriage, whether it's childbirth, whatever's going on, they're finally recognizing, okay, I'm just going to bite the bullet. We need more space than we need a lower mortgage payment. And so they are making the move, which hopefully is going to translate for all of us into more inventory in 2025 hitting the market. Because the reality is, it is what it is. You just got to look at the situation. Can I afford the payment? And I got to get on with life.
Yeah.
And so many people have been handcuffed with that 2 and 3 at the beginning of their mortgage rates that they just didn't want to do it, but life needs to go on. And they're like, okay, we've got to make the move. We need a bigger home. We need more space, school districts, whatever it is.
Right.
And they're making that move. And hopefully we start seeing more inventory get into the market for all of us and allowing more buyers to enter the market.
Yeah. I mean, that would be great. And let's pay some bills now while we're at it.
Oh,
Okay.
And the Charlie Butler Real Estate Show is brought to you by Churchill Mortgage that David was just referencing, that David is the regional manager for. And your office, you cover all of what basically Kentucky and Indiana.
That's correct. All of Kentucky, all of Indiana. And we joke on here, I am licensed in Florida, but I haven't done a lot of loans in Florida. And folks, if you're looking to refinance, because I truly believe opportunities are going to be hitting us even in the first part of 2025. Looking to refinance, want to get approved, pre-approved to buy a home before you get out there and start looking, give me a call, give me a text, 270-222-0676. If you hit churchillmortgage.com website, you'll see the office. It looks like it's in Owensboro, Kentucky, and you'll see the 222-0676 number there, but I cover all of Kentucky, all of Indiana.
So if you're listening to podcasts in Appalachia, David is your man. Or if you're up there and Janet Caudell's been your realtor in Crown Point, Indiana.
There you go.
You know, in far north. David's your man. So,
and I'll say this: I just had I had a closing last week in Illinois, and the reason is because they were moving to Evansville, Indiana. Mm-hmm. Dave Ramsey said, call the good friends at Churchill Mortgage, and they did. And so, due to the seller, not the buyer, not my people, seller complications, and we'll touch on that in a minute when Charlie talks about Bossy Title. The seller kept delaying the closing, and ultimately my folks were in Evansville, had to go back to the 6.5 hours away. Yep. And we had a notary go to their apartment, and they're the proud owners of a $300,000 home here in Evansville.
You know, and Candace, I don't know how much you've seen. I know the team overall has seen it, but people moving from Illinois to Indiana because of the high tax base in Illinois.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I know rental property, definitely. There's something to do with rental property where investors are staying away from Illinois.
Well, yeah, it's one of our good clients. I'd sold him 110 unit in Carpendale, student housing. Kept it rented, but, I mean, insurance is expensive there. I think his insurance on that was $60,000 a year. And the property tax are just crazy.
But you're also describing why rent is going up. And I say that because I, too, own rental properties. I have a property management company that takes care of mine. And I am friends with investors, single family or multi-housing apartments. The fact of the matter is we can't provide rental and take a loss on it. No one wants to do that. When we're all getting our updated homeowners insurance on the property, we're getting our new assessed values of our property and tax bills, that translates not necessarily to us making more money as landlords. It's just covering the expenses that have hit all landlords pretty heavily with the new assessed property and then insurance. Whew, I don't even want to talk about that. I mean, just open up Facebook, open up Instagram. Look at people constantly. Who do you have? Mine's gone up. Who do you have? Send me, it's the cost of doing business is definitely going up in the real estate business.
You know, we haven't had Trish Schammel on in a while from Shepherd. We ought to have Trish on, to talk about this.
Or at least to justify why.
Well, while I was pulling Bossy's number up, I've called him twice. He's already called me back once.
Jeff loves that.
He's already called me back once, so that's service for you, right?
That is service.
It is service.
I'm gonna let Candace talk about Bossy Title today.
I just was in Bossy Title last week. I visited Phil and Norm. Kelly closed the transaction. It was a very smooth closing. I can't say enough good things about the people over at Bossy. They do a great job. So,
yes.
Yeah, call Bossy Title for all your
and that
title
number
needs.
is, if I don't call Jeff again, I'll pull it up here, is, come on. Nope. I always almost give out his home number. No, what's his cell number? I'll just about give his cell number.
Oh, I believe it's 421-4000, but I'm
pretty sure you're right.
Okay.
It is 421-4000.
Okay.
It's not like the Empire thing.
No, it's not, but I knew it was close. Okay.
Hey, speaking of you guys, everybody knows about the Empire carpet. Everybody, the jingle.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You don't know Empire carpet?
Oh,
Everybody.
I'm a lot younger than you are.
No.
Oh, you're a lot older than me. You should definitely.
588 2300 Empire.
And had a little cartoon
it's
guy.
ringing a bell.
Right afterward, it would have the caveman for the invention. You know,
But
yeah.
Okay, are you old enough to remember when there was actual live Empire? You know, the guy that's a caricature now.
I'm not that old.
Okay, the guy's a caricature now that is on the Empire Carpet commercials. You know, they're more of a cartoon-like character. There was a real guy.
Oh, okay.
And they've got a Wikipedia page for him because he's that famous.
Oh, wow.
And he was an advertising guy, and he handled the Empire Carpet account, and he kept bringing people actors for their account. And the owner finally one day says, I think you'd be perfect for this. He goes, I'm not an actor. He said, let's try it. And so I remember the commercial. Bobby remembers. He's not going to admit it. Do you remember when the guy was there?
I mean, I remember the jingle.
Yeah, but there was the real guy. And he was in, regular work clothes, like he was going to lay carpet, which he said he didn't know how to do, and he was across the country. I mean,
that's interesting.
And Empire Carpet, and so I read he died of a heart attack at 89.
Oh, wow.
And he wrote the jingle too. So
he's got his own Wikipedia page.
Yeah. And Candace, if you're looking it up, just look up the Empire Carpet guy.
I'm not. I'm responding to a client right now. I'm going to have to head out of here.
So, Candace, we've got 3 minutes left, and I know you can't be here next week. Or actually, we're taping this week for next week. So, is there anything that you would like for me to say in your absence?
I am going to expect David and Bobby
something you would rather him not say.
Well, I'm going to expect you guys
3 minutes, Bobby.
if you have to hog tie him and put whatever the button is you can push that makes his mic turn off.
The bleep button.
The bleep button. Yeah, the mute button. Didn't we find there was
We
one
did
of those?
find one, yeah.
Let's utilize that, guys. Come on.
My off button doesn't work, Candace.
Oh, it does too work.
So Candace, how you've got a really nice listing in Cambridge right now.
I do. I have a beautiful listing out in Cambridge. It's 3-bedroom with a bonus. It's actually got. It's not siding. It is much nicer than siding. It's backer board. So it's a fiber cement siding by James Hardy. Very durable. It's
really nice.
It's I'm told better than a brick product.
Yes.
So I was discussing that with a family member over the holiday, and he was like, "Oh, that's better than brick." I was like, "Well, yeah."
I always tell people Google it, and here locally with the installers, it's known as Hardy board.
Hardy board,
right
off, and it costs more. The installation of it, when it is not vinyl siding, okay, you were I can't speak this morning. You were correct in stating that,
and that's people just do a drive by and say, "Oh, we didn't want vinyl."
It is a challenge for installation. It is a nicer looking product because of the color schemes you can usually utilize with it and so forth. So and durable. I love how people many times think a brick home can never blow over and so forth. And I won't get into insulation, but the brick is not even connected aggressively to the wood.
Bobby is wrapping us up. Candace, how can they get a hold of you?
They can reach me at 812-455-6338. That's my cell phone. Or they can reach me on the team phone, and that's 812-430-1708.
Candace is the president of the Charlie Butler team, so if you got any complaints, you call her. Okay. I am strictly a figurehead. David, how can I get a hold of you?
Folks, as always, give me a call, give me a text, 270-222-0676. Be happy to help you.
Okay, Charlie Butler, if we can't sell your home, we'll buy it. Call us for details. You can reach me on my cell at 812-499-7758, or any of our team members will be glad to help you at 812-430-1708. And so for Candace DeArm and David Crow, this is Charlie Butler. Have a great Sunday.
This program has been paid for by the Charlie Butler team. From the Kate Foppel Ford Studios, this is News Talk 1280 WGBF.